Okay, so I'm going to do another Josh cast, which I'm going to do outside. And what you might be hearing in the background is the wind. Ah, the wind. Man, so I've been watching these documentaries about jazz musicians because I want to get a sense of what it's like to be cool. Just to get a sense. I will never achieve any of the heights that these people achieved in terms of their artistry and coolness. But it's just kind of fun to go, wow, look at that. That's what a human being can do. Isn't that interesting? Look at that. Now there are things I can do that they can't do, like for instance, find new and different ways to panic about the same thing. But we shouldn't be comparing. And when I'm watching these videos, I'm marveling at the artistry of it and the idea of their ability to, yes, they have a tune. They have a tune, but they can improvise off of the tune. They can improvise off of the melody. And what they find in the moment is very, very powerful. And it's an energy. There's an energy to it that you don't necessarily get with other forms of music. Classical music, which has an energy of its own. I'm not trying to say one is better than the other, but I do think that I've noticed when I'm listening to fast jazz, it's much harder for me to fall asleep. Whereas when I listen to classical music, I'm gone in 5 seconds. So I'm not trying to say one is better than the other. Well, yes, I am. Yes, I am. It's not fair. They're both fine. They're both good. That's fine. This is good. What's amazing to me is that I am not talking to anyone right now. I'm talking alone into a mic, and I'm still worried about offending people. That's my jazz. That's my jazz right there. That's my artistry. Still, I'm concerned that someone will be offended. Spending another day in isolation. Although one would argue I've been emotionally isolated for nigh on 38 years. My throat is sore. I think it's because I've been screaming in Zoom meetings, and but now I'm naturally going, oh my God, does this mean I have the plague? Do I have the plague? Does this mean I have the plague? Oh my God, do I have the plague? But aside from that, I feel, fine. And by fine, I mean my usual depressed self. What am I hoping to achieve with this podcast, you ask? And I want to see what happens if I can really let go and stop thinking and see if I can come up with something funny. That's really the aim of this podcast. I feel like I should have gotten there by now. But that judgment, can I release that judgment? And can I find, can I connect to the spiritual essence of creativity? And from that creativity, can something emerge from that creativity? I'll tell you something. I don't know why we don't have more gravel driveways and more gravel lawns. I'm walking around the neighborhood, and there's all these lawns. I've talked about this on previous podcasts. I just don't think we need them. I never look at a lawn and go, that's gorgeous. I don't think that way. I look at a lawn and I go, it's only a matter of time before we're extinct. All the water that was going into this. it's just, what are you trying to prove with your lawn? We get it. You're middle class. You're a successful cog in the great capitalist machine. Good for you. Applaud, applaud, applaud. I myself obviously do not have a lawn. My landlord has a lawn. Very nice lawn. But all the energy that goes into this stuff that we do, and then I hear, oh, well, we don't have enough medical supplies. Well, how much money have we been spending on lawns? I think that's an excellent point. Walking by a person who's got a "Please be patient, student driver" sticker on the back of their car. Can I just put that on the back of my car? I mean, here's the thing. It's not a lie, because aren't we always learning something new? Aren't we all students? I would argue that we're always learning new things. So I want to be a student driver so that people can just pass me, because I inevitably go 5 minutes or 5 miles below the flow of traffic, even when I'm speeding. My experience of the highway patrol in California thus far has been they get annoyed with me and pass me by. See, this is where I was hoping that inspiration would kick in. Well, what else is going on? What else is going on that I can talk about? What else is bothering me? What else is bothering me? Well, other than the world coming to an end, what else in front of me right now is bothering me? Let's ask that question. The guy right up here has a Corvette, which is a very sexy looking car. It's a new Corvette, clean. It's got 4 tubes coming out the back. It looks mean and angry and powerful. Until it hits 1 inch of snow, and then it becomes a beautiful, beautiful figure skater who is out of control and flying off the side of the mountain. Other problem with that car is if it gets hit by another car, it's flattened. I'm sure it has a roll cage of some kind. I'm concerned that the roll cage just might be, I don't know, the size of my fist. In lieu of a roll cage, it might just have a little note that says, I wouldn't. In lieu of a roll cage, it has a little note that says, hey, at least you lived. At least you lived a full life. That's enough, right? So everything I'm reading about this virus is that we're not going to get it. I think all we're doing is slowing the number of people who get it at the same time. And that really what this is that this is to us what the flu was to people 100 years ago or hundreds of years ago. And that as it goes through the population over time, people build up an immunity and it becomes like another flu. So it's almost not a matter of if, but when. Which is creepy because now what they're saying is, well, elderly people are, particularly vulnerable to it. But now they're recording, people of all ages here and there maybe dying from it. So it's like playing Russian roulette with every metal surface. It's not a good time to be an obsessive compulsive person. It really isn't. In fact, it's so overwhelming to me that... But here's the thing, even before this, my OCD was never about washing hands. My OCD is weird. My OCD is, knock on wood 3 times and I won't die. So I'm just knocking on wood a lot more. But I should be washing the surface of the wood more than I am. I have useless obsessive-compulsive tendencies. Fundamentally useless. So, what else can we discuss at this point? I've discussed the OCD thing before. I want to talk about something new. The other thing too is that I want to be a comedy philosopher. That's what I was actually thinking earlier today. I not only want to be funny, but I want to say something. I want my comedy to change hearts and minds. I want to look at the world and take it apart comedically and really not only be funny but also incredibly profound. And then if I do that, hopefully I'll get laid. I think that's how it's working in my mind. Seeing a kid skateboard up ahead. I never got into skateboarding. I just have a hard time reconciling the fact that is it really the most effective form of transportation? It seems like the cons outweigh the pros from my standpoint. Now, granted, I'm not a gifted athlete, but it really just seems like a way to, a fun new way to break an ankle, is what it seems like to me. Maybe if I had put more energy and time into it, I would have gotten better at it. That's entirely possible. But even so, really not much of a fan of that kind of thing. Here's what I want in a vehicle. I want a vehicle that I want a tank. As much as I can do, like a tank. That's what I want. Now, incredibly expensive. That's out of my price range. So, I will get the thing that is as close as I can get to a tank, which for me is a Honda Civic. If I could get any closer to a tank, I would. It doesn't need to have weapons on it. It's purely defensive purposes only. But that's the kind of vehicle I want, because this body that I have, it's designed to execute a particular set of physical activities marginally well, and it really must be handled with care. What else do we see in here? What else is happening? What else am I... Yeah, watching History of Jazz Musicians. A lot of drug use. A lot of drug use with those jazz musicians, which adds to the drama in a way. I don't condone the use of drugs, but I will say, as a comedian, I never do drugs, and I have nothing to talk about. I don't have wild stories of my 20s. Craziest thing I did in my 20s was watch Babylon 5 as many times as I watched Babylon 5. But you can't write a book about that. It is, by the way, an excellent show. You should check it out if you haven't. Available on iTunes. Babylon 5. The epic 5-year saga. We could talk a little bit about Picard. You want to talk about Picard a little bit? Let's talk Picard. Overall, I'm happy with Picard. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad they did it. Other people have been commenting on this, but in the final episode, when the Federation comes to save the day, basically, all of the ships look exactly alike. And I think I saw one comment on Twitter, all they did was copy and paste one ship to make several ships for the special effects. They wanted more variations of ships. And on the one hand, that would have been nice if there was some different ship variations. Would have been a nice Easter egg. To, throw in maybe a Defiant here or a Reliant there. That would have been nice. Car alarm. Gotta walk away from the direction of the car alarm now. That would have been nice if they did that, but I think, because it's interesting. Here's my theory. Here's the unwritten scene in Star Trek Picard that I need to see, because I've noticed that in the world of Star Trek, the general rule is this: if it's not the Enterprise, it gets blown up. And even the Enterprise has gotten blown up on occasion. But as a general rule, if you see any Starfleet ship on an episode of Star Trek that is not the Enterprise, it's a good bet that 2/3 of the way into the episode, it's going to get blown up, it's going to get taken over and blown up, it's going to implode, it's going to get sucked into an alternate dimension. It's no good. So I have a feeling that Riker says, I want the ship that looks like the Enterprise. Great. Now give me 200 more. Well, we have the Reliant. I don't want the Reliant. No, thank you. We all know what happened to the Reliant. No. I just want the one ship design that always seems to do well. Times 200, please. I'm acting Captain Riker. He didn't need to say he was acting captain. That was a weird moment, too. They show Riker, when as he's flying into the rescue, and he says, "This is acting Captain Riker." You don't need to say acting. You're the captain. The Romulans don't need to know your employment status specifically. I'm Riker. I'm here. Stop it. That seemed like a little, I'm acting Captain Riker. I'm actually on reserve. My employment number is 265427. For a while, I wasn't the captain. I'd retired, but then I came back, and now I'm the captain, but acting captain. So as soon as we're done here, I'm not going to be the captain anymore. So anything that's related to what's going on right now, you can talk to me because I am acting captain. Anything that goes on after what goes on now, you should talk to someone else. I can give you the phone number for the person to call, but it wouldn't be me, because at that point, I would no longer be the acting captain. I would be going back into retirement. Turns out the giant super intelligent android creatures from another dimension that are going to come and destroy all organic life look like they have giant robotic tentacles. That's giant robotic tentacles. That's what we're dealing with. I thought that was a little, I don't know. That's fine, I guess. It's okay. A giant android squid. I've noticed with these giant threats that come through a portal to destroy the human race, they're always waiting right at the portal. I mean, she opened that portal, and it only took 2 or 3 minutes before they showed up. They're like, they're ready. Just once, I'd like to see they open the portal and no one comes out. And like, on the other side, they're like, oh, I slept through it. Ugh. I should have programmed a reminder. This is what the one day, instead of waiting at the portal, I go get a bagel. The one day. A synthetic bagel, of course, because they're androids. A dog's barking at me, invading the dog's territory. Never a good thing to invade a dog's territory. Never a good thing. Dogs need to be able to have their own territory. I don't know who I'm talking. I don't know what character that is. Well, let's make it up. It's Milo Anderson, a lover of dogs. You have to let the dogs have their own territory. If you don't, they'll be depressed. I've explained this, and no one listens to me. That's why I've decided to exterminate the human race with this giant android tentacle monster. Let's talk about the giant android tentacle monster for a second. So, first of all, if you're an organic form of life and you create a giant robot tentacle monster, and that giant robot tentacle monster proceeds to destroy you, I think you deserve whatever you get. What super intelligent race would say to themselves, you know, there's just so much I need to hold, and I don't have enough arms. I'm going to create a giant tentacle robot that can fly through space, subspace even. That's what I'm going to do, because I'm just tired of making multiple trips from the car. Okay. Fantastic. I'm feeling a little better about this podcast. It took me a second to get warmed up, but then I got warmed up, and I don't know if I've accomplished anything with this, but I'm feeling better about it. There's an Audi. Someone's got an Audi. Not an Audi belly button, an Audi vehicle. They have two Audis, actually. They have a car and an SUV. This is a proud Audi family. Brand loyalty. Brand loyalty for their Audis. Very impressive. My grandparents had one, but they called it an Audi. But I think it's Audi. That sounds more German, doesn't it? Audi! Get into the Audi! Dr. Jones, I see you have been driving an Audi. Dr. Jones. Herr Dr. Jones, I see you have been driving an Audi. That Audi is not for you. Well, that accent just went off the rails. And there are still planes flying. People are flying. Why would you fly? Why? Do you have to? Do you have to fly? I hated traveling before this. But nevertheless, here we are in this wonderful, wonderful world of cyberspace. Another kid with a skateboard. There's a lot of kids with skateboards in this neighborhood. I'm amazed that skateboards still are a thing. You'd think the kids want to, be on the iPad and all that stuff. Well, that's a stupid assumption I made, isn't it? Perhaps there will be a need and a rebellion away from technology. That actually makes sense. We become so engrossed in technology, the next generation is going to want to rebel, do the opposite, and become children of the land. Yeah, I still don't get the skateboard. I don't get that. I don't get rollerblades or roller skates. No, I don't get that at all. I think the human body was not designed to have wheels on the feet. I think if it was designed to have wheels on the feet, it would have wheels on the feet. That is not what the human body is designed to do. I tried rollerblading once, and all that meant was that I was just on the ground a lot, kind of sliding down the sidewalk, and getting very frustrated, and saying to myself, I'm never going to do this again. Could I have gotten good at rollerblading if I kept up with it? Perhaps. Perhaps I could have. But I just... Again, I don't need to roll. I need to get to where I'm going. I don't need to do it rolling as opposed to walking. I've just never had that necessity, that urge. All right, well, how long has this been? Wow, 27 minutes. Well, hopefully you found something of use in there. Hopefully I found something of use in there. Have yourselves a merry Sunday.